Hello, I'm Claire at the Fintech Times. We're here in Amsterdam for day 2 of Money 2020. I'm delighted to be joined by Incode, one of the Fintech Power 50 members. How are you doing?
Thank you, Claire. Excited to be here. It's great to be back in Holland.
Well, before we have a little chat about what's been going on in Amsterdam, why don't you introduce yourself first of all and tell us a bit more about yourself?
Would love to. Yeah, I'm Dean Hickman-Smith. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for Incode. Incode is based in San Francisco, and we're a leader in identity verification.
That's great. So perhaps you could elaborate a bit more. What kind of things are Incode doing? Who are you working with?
Absolutely. So in terms of what kind of things we're doing, basically we're bringing a new generation approach to identity verification so that people can prove who they are in the digital world. We're creating an experience that's fun, it's exciting, it's easy to use. People really love the fact that it's a very intuitive experience, and it enables them to, as I said, validate who they are digitally to onboard into some sort of platform. Obviously here we're talking mainly about financial services platforms, but as regulatory pressure is getting more and more intense on things like payments, money transfers, in fact any sort of transaction, we're right there to identify who it is, where they are, and are they the person that they claim to be when they're getting into that sort of payment platform.
How long have you worked at Incode, and what do you really like about working there?
I've been at Incode 1 year today, so it's my Incode anniversary. What I love about Incode is, actually there are many things. I love the innovative way that Incode's coming to market. It's an entirely AI-driven organization, so we're applying the latest research in machine learning and artificial intelligence to solve a really challenging problem, which is very exciting, and constantly kind of get excited about and geek out on the technology. But what I really like is the benefit of what we're doing. I mean, we're in a position where we can help bring rules and regulations and trust and safety to industries. So we work in so many different areas. We work in the sports industry. So if you want to go to a professional soccer game, football game in Mexico, you have to pre-register and create a facial biometric key to be admitted to the ground. You're going to say, why do you have to do that? There were many violence issues at soccer games in Mexico, and they wanted to basically be able to provide safety for regular people that wanted to go to the game. So we're helping bring safety back so that families will want to go back to watching football. We're engaged in many projects where we're helping things like telemedicine, assure that the patient is who they say they are, and the medical person on the other end of the video connection is a real medical professional. We're making sure that people are the right age to do things like order products online, order alcohol and other restricted products online, and just help bring some sort of controls to this explosion of services that are available. Post-COVID, many things went digital. We can help really control and bring trust and safety and the right sort of element of control to those industries. Every day I wake up, there's something new and exciting. We're starting to get involved in certainly a lot in hospitality, a lot in the gig economy, so proving that workers are who they say they are, and really, again, there are just so many different areas that this thing is growing into, so many different geographies. Every day is a new day and a new exciting project.
So you mentioned making things a bit more fun and more approachable. There are a lot of companies here. Well, how do you do that really to stand out? How do you make yourself more unique?
Yeah, I think there's almost fatigue amongst people having to authenticate to another thing. So in two ways we're working on that. Number one is if you're new coming into an environment, we make it very, very quick. Typically, the onboarding flow that we would offer to a customer is the validation of a government ID coupled with a facial biometric analysis. So that's as simple as presenting the front and back of a driving license to their mobile telephone and then taking a selfie. We run a lot of checks to make sure that the ID is a legitimate ID, it's not a fraudulent ID, and that the person is present, that they're alive, and that they correlate with the identity on the government ID. So that creates the identity. In terms of capturing, when we do capture the biometric, that becomes essentially a re-authentication key for that individual. So when they reuse the app, and say they make a transaction above a certain level, the app will ask them to present their face to prove that it really is them. We work in a lot of other markets outside finance. Hospitality would be one, so we enable a similar process for hotels, for example. So people can register for a hotel prior to turning up. We've all been there, got off a plane, arrived at a hotel, and there's a huge queue. You've got to present your passport to show who you are before you're allowed to your room. We can do that in a fully automated way, so the person can validate who they are before they even get on the plane, arrive at the hotel, present their face, RFID, the key to their mobile phone, go straight to their room. They can then use their face to pay for things as they walk around the house and around the hotel. I've been traveling too much. Around the hotel and use the face as a mechanism for payment and make it a completely frictionless experience. So in a nutshell, that's what we're doing. We're trying to make the whole experience frictionless, make it easy for the consumer, but make it accurate. So cut out the fraudsters and bring trust to that whole experience.
I mean, you mentioned fraudsters. They do get smarter. They seem to be always, even sometimes one step ahead sometimes. How do we kind of make people feel more reassured that they aren't going to be using technology that makes them look like it's them when they're not there?
You're right, actually. I think we ran a survey recently that said 48% of people don't trust their interaction with a digital app. We can make it, I think, as easy as possible and as frictionless as possible. And it really comes down to, I guess, two things. First is how easy and intuitive is the experience, and I talked about that just now. We spend a lot of time working on the user experience. So it is as quick and easy as really that front back and then a selfie correlation, so it can be done in seconds, things that have taken minutes or required an in-person appointment previously. So we can make the digital validation process very, very simple. And then the second is we add many other signals to really add incremental degrees of trust. So, for example, we check the person, so we're running some tests here right now. We correlate where the person typically is, or the address on their ID, to where they're attempting to do the validation and see whether there's anomalies there. The way that they would interact with the app, is it a human way or is it clearly a robot trying to overcome the security within an app? We spend a lot of time testing our solution against things like NIST, which is the National Institute in the US, to prove that we're able to counter spoofing. So we do liveness checks to make sure that the person is alive at the time that they're taking the selfie, that their skin is reflecting in a normal way, there's no mask, they're not presenting a picture. There are many ways that we're running multiple layers of checks in a way that's acceptable to the human that's interacting with the application.
When you mentioned the survey, I think while it shows that people like that kind of convenience and making things a lot easier, there's still quite a bit of mistrust, though, isn't there, about privacy and how much their own identity is going to be used without them knowing.
Yep. Actually, it's a very good point. So a lot of what we do is in memory on the device. So we can do most of the things I just talked about without looking up to any external sources, which keeps privacy at the very forefront of what we do. Everything that we do is very closely guarded by regulations, so we're fully GDPR compliant. We obey all of the regulatory standards. We have a lot of focus on, of course, meeting compliance standards that are there to enhance privacy for the consumer. I think there's a balance. There's convenience versus what am I going to get out of this experience? I mean, people want a frictionless travel experience. You don't want to get to the airport, on a hot day with kids in tow and bags and stuff, and then spend 30 minutes or longer waiting to check in. Would you trade an ability to present yourself to an app to get some accelerated throughput at the airport? Probably. Same with the hotel, probably. If you were to be able to validate yourself and then get a premium experience as a result of it, would you use biometrics for that? Most travelers would be happy to do that if they got an upgrade or they got a faster boarding. You can take that all the way to shopping. I mean, if you wanted a face-based checkout experience, would you opt in to a solution that enables you to just choose your things in the shop and then check out with your face? Many people would say yes. So there's always sort of the balance of the equation is what you're going to get out of it. Is it worth the investment of your time and that commitment to your data?
I think all the time you were saying that, I was thinking about the hour I stood trying to get through Amsterdam airport. It took me ages to get through.
Get through Amsterdam?
Yeah, it really did. But anyway, we're here at Money 2020. What is it that you found particularly great about the event this year?
It's huge. It's been a while since I came to Amsterdam. I'm based in America now, so I used to be in the Netherlands almost weekly when I lived in London, but I haven't been here for probably 4 or 5 years. So this event is way bigger than I was anticipating. What I love is this is a real melting pot. We've got lots of startups from all over Europe, former Eastern Europe, coming together. So there's a lot of innovation here. We've met customers and potential customers from all over Europe, Middle East, Africa. So it's a great opportunity to go and see existing and new customers. But I think just the size and scale of this thing was probably an order of magnitude bigger. And the outside events, we do Money 2020 in Las Vegas, which is an enormous show, but it doesn't have all those external events, like the party in the park thing last night. I don't know if you were there, but it was like being at a music festival. They had acts, and we met a bunch of additional customers that we weren't expecting to meet, but we ended up meeting them in a very sort of laid-back environment. It's really, really cool. And it's beautiful weather as well, so we're very happy.
I think the weather always helps, especially outside with the lake and the pedalows and the beach that I only discovered today. So
I haven't got out there yet.
I'll let you go now.
After this.
We'll end it there. Thank you for coming. It was great to meet you.
It was a pleasure. If if I can help anyone learn about Incode, I love what we do. I love talking about it, and as do the rest of the team. So please, give us a shout, and we'll come and tell you a little bit about Incode.